5 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m., it is Tuesday, March 19, 2019, 23 degrees outside. Shane Montalban joins me from Vancouver, British Columbia, half man, half amazing. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great this morning. I feel like it's springtime, a day of sunshine, not a cloud in the sky.
All right.
It was 62 degrees, snow melting. Wow, it's the new spring me.
Yeah, well, good for you. Well, Tommy Goloff, your morning mayor in the house. Of course, you're listening to the KMMS Morning Soapbox. We're here every day from 6 to 9, and if you want to be a part of the big broadcast, easy to do. All you have to do is pick up the phone, 522-TALK, 522-8255, or you can text the show at 478-8298. And we've also got a new way to message us on the app. When you go over to your app, you'll see a new button next to call us or contact us. It'll say message us, and all you got to do is click on that, and the message board pops up, and you can send your message directly over to us that way, and that may be easier for some people to do, so check that out, and that's how you get a hold of us, so pretty good deal.
There you go. That's the deal, baby.
Yeah, we're also on Alexa. We're on, what are we, Apple Home or whatever those things are, you know, where you say, go listen to Tom and Shane, and they take you over there.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's not a bad deal. Well, I think you probably have to go to KMMSAM.com or something like that, but I don't know if they're up to Tom and Shane yet, but we'll find out. But anyway. So let's take a quick look at our weather around the area. We're looking for a high of 41 degrees today, overnight low of 17, sunny today and tomorrow. Tomorrow, high of 42 and overnight low of 21, sunny also. Then we go up to 45 degrees on Thursday, 21 the overnight low, and Friday, 44 and 26 respectively, and Saturday, 43 and 28. And then clear over on Tuesday of next week, it gets up to 50 and 26, the overnight low. Now, we do have a little bit of a threat of rain and snow on Sunday around the middle of the day, 60% or so of either rain or snow, one of the two. I don't know, that may pass us by with these warm temperatures, but we'll find out those days, I guess, or as we get closer and the forecast changes. But every day this week, we're looking at 40-degree highs clear into Thursday of next week. So that should get rid of a lot of the snow we got hanging around with us, and hopefully things will get more spring-looking out there. You'll be able to see your grass and whatever else is out there. So temperatures around the area right now, Livingston is 19, Manhattan is 12, Three Forks is 10 degrees, Gallatin Gateway is 22, Ennis is 18, Gardner is 12, Big Sky is 15, and over at the airport in Belgrade, it is 13 degrees. And at our lavishly appointed studios in downtown Bozeman, of course, it is 23 degrees at 9 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m., so there's your weather for today. Get you going?
Yeah, it does indeed. Warm weather always seems to make it easier to get up in the morning.
Well, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, I go out and start up my gas-guzzling van to, warm it up and do my part for global warming. And it's pretty nice. Right. Pretty nice walking out there to crank it up and get it going. And it doesn't like it doesn't want to turn over either. It goes.
Coffee, a couple of pieces of toast, a couple of eggs.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Now we're ready.
Yes, indeed. Talk to the kids about their cereal. I remember always fighting over the box of cereal.
Yeah. What was your cereal?
Cheerios, honey, sweet
honey nut Cheerios, huh?
Honey nut Cheerios, nut and honey, baby.
Nut and honey. All right, wow, good for you. All right, and that's hard. That's heart healthy, you know.
Of course, it was at 5.
Yeah, it didn't help your 3 heart attacks, but
No, that came later. Yeah.
Can't blame. You better go back to that cereal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Well, in this date in history, 1860, William Jennings Bryan, Secretary of State and three-time Democratic presidential nominee, was born in Salem, Illinois. Never made it to the big house, but...
No, but he ran against, let's see, Taft, and in 1908, 1900, he ran against McKinley. Mm-hmm. But poor boy, what can you say about it? He tried. It's not like he didn't try. But the thing that was most remarkable about him as a conservative from Illinois was the Stokes trial, right?
Yeah, Stokes monkey trial.
Yeah, and this was really important to him because he was anti-evolution.
Yeah,
he was a biblical scholar and a Protestant. And so when this opportunity came up to defend this gentleman, which tested the Butler Act about the whole issue
of teaching evolution in school.
Yeah, teaching evolution in school. He charged right in and defended the fellow being prosecuted over it, the teacher. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty lost the case, of course.
Yeah.
But it still was, Scopes was fined $100 for violating the Butler Act, which was actually a big deal. I guess today that'd be like $1,000 fine.
Yeah. Who was it? Spencer Tracy played William Jennings Bryan, I believe.
Yeah,
and I can't remember who the other guy was, but the bald-headed guy. I just remember him saying, "If God wants a sponge to think, it thinks."
Yeah.
Just remember that. So, anyway, 1891, Earl Warren, the 14th Chief Justice of the United States, was born in Los Angeles. And I've told this story many times. When I was a kid, my parents would go on a drive somewhere. They'd take me somewhere and to the next town or something or whatever to go buy something or go somewhere. And I remember in the fields, I would see these signs that say impeach Earl Warren. And I had no idea who he was or what impeach meant. But I just remember seeing those signs.
Well, he was a remarkable jurist at the end of his life, but he started out as a politician. He was a governor of California from 1943 to 1953. This was sort of an important period of time because it was the integration of government and the expansion of the infrastructure, for the power grid and highways, dams, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And
then he was appointed to the Supreme Court. Oddly enough, he was Justice of the Supreme Court from 1953 to 1969. So there you go. He was appointed to the Supreme Court by none other than Eisenhower.
Yeah.
And he was famous. His famous cases were Brown versus Board of Education, which we desegregating schools, Reynolds versus Sims, Miranda, and Arizona about search and seizure.
Wow! So he got on the big ones.
Final part of his legacy was he was made the chairman of the Warren Commission that oversaw the assassination of President John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
And his vice chairman was none other than Gerald Ford.
Wow.
How amazing is that?
Yeah. That's why they called it the Warren Commission, because Earl Warren headed that commission.
Yeah, he was head of the commission.
Yeah. Well, in this date, 1917, the Supreme Court upheld the 8-hour workday for railroads, so that was a good deal for the railroad workers. They didn't have to work 10, 12-hour days anymore. Right. They got to go home and get some sleep.
That's right.
Pretty good.
And then on this day, an act of Congress, 1966, established a system of unified daylight saving time. The idea that it would be an hour more light at night, with an hour less in the morning, because the sun came up so early the sun rose so early in most of North America during the summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the other thing, they saved in factories by not having to turn on the lights, things like that. So that was another reason for it. And farmers, spend more time in the fields, whatever, during the daylight hours. And we had a bill in our legislature to go to daylight savings time year round, but I don't think you can do that without the feds giving it the blessing. So I think that's got to be a federal deal to change.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should. I don't know. I'd rather have a little more light in the evening than in the morning. But
yeah, I think so. Yeah. And it's so exaggerated in the northern states like Montana. All along the Canadian border, it's more exaggerated than central and southern United States.
Well, yeah, when you get into Alaska, it's light almost all day long.
In the wintertime, yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was
in summertime. Yeah. In the summertime, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's 22 hours of light.
Something like that. Yeah, I spoke at the University of Alaska several years ago, and it was in May, and 11 o'clock at night, it was still pretty light out. You got to close all the drapes and everything to make it dark in the room. But, it was still plenty light at 11 p.m. And, of course, they grow cabbage the size of Buicks up there.
Well, they say they do, but you never see one. You'd think you'd see one at a market down here somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they put them all in salads. I don't know.
That's it. They bag it and send it.
Well, in 1920, the Senate rejected for the second time the Treaty of Versailles by a vote of 49 in favor, 35 against, falling short of the two-thirds majority needed for that. So, and in 1931, Nevada Governor Fred B. Balzar signed a measure legalizing casino gambling in Las Vegas, or in Nevada, period, I guess. Yeah,
that was huge. That was a huge change. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, at that time, the United States was very religious,
right?
And the politics was very religious in its premise. So to get, gambling, wow.
Yeah, that was a pretty good deal. 1945, Adolf Hitler issued his so-called Nero Decree, ordering the destruction of German facilities that could fall into Allied hands, as he realized he wasn't going to be victorious in this war, so he wanted to make sure, much like Saddam Hussein burning all the oil wells, set fire to all the oil wells.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Albert Speer was his right-hand man, his architect and builder in Germany. Mm-hmm. Speer built all the manufacturing facilities for the war effort. Brilliant man. 1945, March 19th, Hitler issued the Nero Decree demanding that he carry it out. Mm-hmm. Which was literally the destruction of Paris and all the cities in parts of the eastern part of Europe, Austria, and so forth, and all, of course, Germany. But oddly enough, no one followed that order.
Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, Hawaii and Arizona don't have daylight savings time, and I believe part of Indiana also, half of Indiana, I believe, because I spoke there, and I was talking to somebody about they got to leave for work an hour early, go across the bridge to the next state, and they got to wait an hour to go to work.
Yeah.
Or something like that. That's I don't know. But yeah, the texter is absolutely right. Hawaii and Arizona don't have daylight savings time, and I'm pretty sure part of Indiana also is the same way. Why they got excluded from that, I'm not sure. Why they? I guess you can opt onto it, but you can't opt off of it. I guess I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know how that works.
Appropriate, how that works. They like to do that, have that sort of grandfather clause in there.
I guess, yeah. I guess you can't force it year round, but you can opt off of it if you want to. So
that's right.
You want to go back to regular time. So, all right. So I guess that makes that makes some sort of a difference. I guess so. All right. We got to take a quick break here. We've got, we don't have, we do have Montana News and Agriculture. It just showed up.
All right.
And we got the Headwaters Livestock Report, and we'll also test our emergency system. So, hey, we'll be right back with more after this. 27 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It is Tuesday, March 19, 2019, 23 degrees outside. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor in the house, and welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And Shane is online with us in Vancouver, British Columbia. And
yes, I'm just busy here, busy being the research analysis of facts, okay? That's what I do, folks.
All right, that's what he does.
Truth there.
Not just a pretty face. Well, in 1953, Shane, the Academy Awards ceremony was televised for the first time. I think I was around for that. I think we had a TV at that time. I'm not sure.
I was still a twinkle in my father's eyes now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I don't know how big of a twinkle I was, but
yeah,
there I was.
In 1962, Bob Dylan's self-titled debut album was released by Columbia Records. I wonder, what do you think if Bob Dylan went on American Idol? Do you think he'd make the pass?
No.
I don't think so either.
No, I don't.
America's Got Talent? No.
No.
The Voice? No.
No.
But somehow somebody signed him up.
He was a ballad singer, and I never thought much of a very good one. But
well, he was a good songwriter, but I don't know that his vocal presentations were all that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Lyrics and music were phenomenal. But...
Yeah, he wrote some good stuff, but I don't know. I guess the thing of the songwriters like Jim Webb, by the time I get to Phoenix and. Now who else? Well, obviously.
Oh, the gal that passed away. What was her name?
I know who you mean.
She was a great writer too.
Yeah. Anyway,
Janis Joplin.
Well, yeah. I don't know that she wrote a lot of stuff, but.
No, but it was sort of the same ballad.
Yeah.
Music,
No, she was one of those that had one of those voices that I don't know if I like that voice or not, but it did grow on you.
Well, no, it's like him. The two of them were like, their voices
were
not really great, but the ballads they sang were very good.
Yeah, they were. All right, we got to pay a couple bills, and Jeff Krauss, City Commissioner of Bozeman, will join us at 8 o'clock, and we'll have some more local stuff coming up. More on the crushed roofs at MSU. We're going to be talking about that a little bit. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back after the news at the top of the or bottom of the hour. 23 minutes before the top of the hour. And, I'm not sure what happened to the first song. It just didn't go. So, not sure. I'll have to test that baby out. So I had to quickly go elsewhere. Well, Shane, Gallatin County among the healthiest places in Montana. What do you think?
Well, of course it is. It's beautiful. You've got fresh water. You've got open sky. You've got great people.
We got it all, man.
Endless mountains to look at.
Yes, we do. Yeah. Well, the University of Wisconsin and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation did a study and ranked us number 3. We're things like tobacco use and access to medical care, educational attainment, air quality, all of those things. Madison County placed first, and Jefferson County was second, but we seem to have fewer obese people, higher rates of physical activity, and more access to exercise opportunities than other counties, which is not surprising for a place that everybody wants to move to and live here.
Yeah, the only thing that the valley doesn't have is like a very large lake. Other than that, you've got everything. I mean, you've got lots of river to run on and stuff.
Yeah,
the Yellowstone's a big river, so you can actually. Yeah,
you can certainly go there. Well, the Bozeman Beach is big enough to swim in. It's not big enough to boat in.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying. That's it.
That's about all you got. Yeah,
rivers and boy. Trails, and you can do it. Golf courses. Wow, it's everything.
Yeah, we have better medical care than the statewide average, with fewer uninsured residents and more primary care physicians and dentists and medical health care providers per capita. So we're doing a little better in that area as well. And economically, we're a little better than most of the counties. Unemployment rate here is 2.8%, lower than the state average of 4.1%, and the median household income is 60,400. That's more than 10,000 higher than the state average. So, this is an expensive place to live. It's not cheap to be here, that's for sure. But there are also about half as many children in the country, 26% that are eligible for the reduced lunches or free lunches at our schools. So that's a good thing, I guess. And we have
you got to thank academia, because having the university there has helped tremendously.
Well, it certainly has.
It really has. It's been a commerce drawer for 100 years. It's been there, and because what's the size of the university? 15,000. That's a lot of students.
Thereabouts, yeah. It's pretty. It's 16,000. Actually, we have an 81% of residents attending some higher education compared to 68 for the rest of the state. So.
And that's a captive audience. It's not like they can go far. I mean, the next nearest town is Billings to go buy anything, right? Really, you know what I mean? So it's
Billings or Butte or Helena,
Yeah, so they're going to shop in. They're going to shop in Bozeman for whatever they need, right?
Oh yeah. Well, now that we have Costco and
that's what I'm saying.
The Super Walmart and all of that. Yeah, people used to drive to the Costco in Billings all the time.
Oh, yeah. They did,
to get everything. But
50 years ago, they drove to Minneapolis.
Well, I guess.
Or Denver. No, I'm serious. I remember as a kid. My mom wanted, what was it? She wanted an appliance. It was, and she had to go to Denver to get it. Like, really? How crazy was that?
Wow. Okay. Well, the only area we seem to lag behind, but we excel in drinking.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, 24% of residents over 18 reported drinking heavily, which is defined for men as consuming more than 5 alcoholic beverages in one sitting, or typically consuming more than 2 drinks a day. For women, it's 1 drink fewer.
Well, I'd open up a pub. I call it the Honest Pub. The sign outside would say, it may not be 6%, but it'll still get you drunk.
Right. I don't know. Well, 54% of our people in drunk driving or car crashes are under the influence of alcohol, with 6% or higher than the average. Well, we're in pretty good shape. We just need to curtail our boozing a little bit.
Well, and the very interesting thing about that, it's not an interesting thing, but one of these things we'd like to share with our listeners. The vast majority of people that DWI are beer drinkers. It's not hard alcohol anymore.
Yeah. Well, beer's generally cheaper.
Yeah, that's right.
You can. Yeah, I think I told you at one of the restaurants. My wife will occasionally order a beer with lunch because I'm the designated driver. Yeah. And they will always offer her a glass of water with the beer if she wants one to dilute the beer.
Yeah. Well, you'd think that to solve this problem that, I don't want to go here, but businesses, which wouldn't want the liability, so the government would legislate, that breathalyzers be put, in the bars, so people take a breathalyzer test before they leave.
Ah.
So, and then if they're over, they have to give their keys up.
Yeah.
And take a cab, right?
I think the Supreme Court would just smash you.
I love it.
That would smack you in the face, man. The Supreme Court would hit you so hard you'd starve to death before you quit rolling. That's how hard they hit you.
I just tried to help the legislators, buddy.
I tell you, man, holy smokes. All right, well, good for our active lifestyle, and we're very, very pleased that we're one of the healthiest places in Montana. So I think part of the drinking thing probably is if you don't ski, fish, hunt, or hike, there's nothing left but to drink.
Well, and the other thing too is, and this is sort of important, I think, you don't have the racial overtones of inner cities on a rural basis with gangs.
Well, that's true.
I really think,
Yeah.
I think gangs in cities, with what they sell and the stuff that goes on with them and the difficulty they cause neighborhoods and I mean, the whole thing,
Yeah.
the hood. You don't have the hood.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I would think the police would tell you we probably have MS-13 here running some meth and some other stuff through here.
They're underground. They're
Yeah,
not.
well, yeah, they are.
Like
But doesn't mean they're not here.
No, I'm sure they are, but they have long sleeves on.
Okay, all right.
In LA, they're wearing a T-shirt with chains. Like I am 13 or whatever.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back to discuss more of long sleeves right after this. 11 minutes before the top of the hour. It is Tuesday, March 19, 2019, 23 degrees outside. Shane McDonovan on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia, in the beautiful country of Canada.
Yes, indeed.
I guess I could call it that. I've never actually been there, so I'm guessing.
You've never come north to Canada?
Never been to Canada.
Wow. I can't believe it. I've been talking to you for 8 years, and I still learn something about you every day.
Yeah.
Like, that's unbelievable. Really?
Well, I haven't been to Yellowstone Park either, but,
Or Glacier Park.
Or Glacier Park, or any other park in Montana, I don't think.
Yeah, so. Well, you have several
I've been to Bogart Park.
Bogart? And you sat down and stayed there a long time, didn't you?
Actually, I took my dog Max, a golden shepherd I had when we first moved here. I took Max to the park for a obedience training class, and he was a top of the class. He was good.
Well, it wouldn't be easy trying to train you.
Well, no, training me is. You only have to listen to the show for about 5 minutes to learn that. Well, guess what, Shane?
Two bark commands aren't a good thing with you.
Yeah, no. Well, our engineering college has finally come to the forefront to talk about the collapsing roofs at MSU. And Engineering College Dean Brett Gunnick said people have brought up the potential for embarrassment, but he doesn't see the roof collapse as a failure by the building engineers. It's an unusual event. In all likelihood, this is an event the structure was not designed for. We design buildings to withstand earthquakes, he said, but if an earthquake is severe enough, nothing can stay standing. The same holds true for snow. We can't design for every event nature can throw at us. It wouldn't be economical. So they're talking about that we got 27 inches of snow in February. Normally we get about 5. So we got a few more.
This isn't rocket science. Now, wait a second. Like, seriously, you graduate from the state of Montana University, or Montana State, rather, and you get an engineering degree. You want this on your resume that you were on the commission to review the collapse of the roofs in 2 of the gyms on the university? I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, that's how it goes, I guess. So, but,
now, had you been into these buildings before they crashed?
Me?
Yeah.
I've been in the field house, and I've given lectures there, but it's been a long time ago. I'm not sure where I was.
Metal ceilings, like flat metal ceilings.
Never paid any attention to it. I don't know.
I imagine one was a.
Was a what?
You have a call?
Yeah.
You have a call?
I do have a call. Yeah. Yeah. But I was going to let you finish your thought, but that's okay.
No. Take the call. Take the call. Better thought there than here.
All right. 522 Talk is the number. Caller, you on the air. What's going on?
Well, speaking of roofs, I do construction down at Big Sky.
Yeah.
And, their roofs are engineered for 250 pounds per square foot and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny how the people down there in Big Sky will spend thousands of dollars having flowers planted in their gardens and whatnot, but they will not spend any money on getting their roof shoveled.
No.
You know what? I don't feel sorry for anybody if their roof collapses and they don't shovel the roof. If you know there's a big, heavy snow load, you got to get somebody up there, pay them, and shovel the roof.
Get that baby clean.
It's pretty simple stuff.
Yeah.
But, the roof was engineered. Yeah.
Well,
you get enough snow load on there, and you're going to have problems.
Yep.
You're going to have ice dams. Roofs are going to leak, and now the big thing down in Big Sky is flat roofs.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, and they've got flat roofs, so they have the money to build a little shed up there for their snowblower.
Yeah.
They can have a permanent snowblower up there without, they can clean the roof with.
Well, I'm working on a house right now, and they did snow blow the roof while the snow was still pretty soft.
Yeah.
No problems.
All right.
But they took the time and the money to do that. But most of them won't do it.
All right, man. Thanks, man.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Gotta go. We'll be right back. Dave from Livingston is chastising me off the air for not going to Yellowstone in 25 years. And from our text line, 478-8298, it says, originally all the condos at Big Sky were condemned within 3 years because they had flat roofs. Everything up there now has been rebuilt. So I guess that's where we are. So, well, that worked out well. We got everything in.
You have no fear to go now.
Right. Well, we'll come back. KMMS is in the news. We'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about the 5 things you need to know. So, hey, we made it, Shane. We made the big time.
I'm excited to hear, buddy.
That's it, man. We'll be back with that right after the news at the top of the hour. Jeff Krauss will join us at 8 o'clock. Also, don't forget our poll. Our daily poll is, how many times have you moved? I think I've moved 7 times since the wife and I have been married. So, every 5 years or so, we get kicked out of wherever we are. We got to go somewhere else. So
there you go.
All right. We'll be back. Stay tuned. A lot more to come on the KMMS Morning Soapbox. 5 minutes after the hour of 7 a.m., it is Tuesday, March 19th, 2019, 24 degrees outside. From our text line, it says, quite succinctly, let's see, snow on roofs. There's a reason why some people teach and some people work.
There you go. I like that. Very good. Very good.
That was a good one. All right. Hey, Tom, do you think you could have a live debate between Shane and Daniel when Shane comes down this summer? That was great the other day. So we'll see. I don't know if we can or not, but we'll see. Yeah. And let's see, from our text line, let's see, I think we got that one. We got the last one, I think. Okay, yeah, we got the one about the Big Sky flat roofs and everything's been rebuilt down there, so we already got that one, so we'll get rid of that one. And if you want to be a part of the big broadcast, 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255, or text us at 478-8298.
Like our Facebook, do downloads, and do the poll of the day.
Yeah, poll of the day.
So much to do. Much to do.
Poll of the day, how many times have you moved? And also, we only need 9 Facebook likes to reach 1,000. So call your friends, call your neighbors, call your sister, brother, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandpa, grandma, whoever. Everybody knows somebody who's on Facebook, even if you're not. And tell them to like KMMS. We just need 9 more likes on our Facebook page to get to 1,000. So we appreciate it very much.
This is what you call a verbal bribe, okay?
That's a verbal bribe.
We're verbally bribing you.
That's it. Yeah, we don't have unfortunately, we got no budget for prizes or anything like that. No. But for the 1,000th person, I wish I had a prize for you. But, well, anyway.
We don't have free T-shirts or caps. Or
I know. They won't spring for anything here. So, but anyway, Scott Sales, if you didn't hear it, Scott Sales announced he is ready for Secretary of State. And in the Chronicle this morning, Sales, a self-described fiscal conservative, announced his candidacy in Helena on Thursday at the Republican dinner and in Gallatin County on Saturday night, and confirmed his intention in an interview with KMMS, a Bozeman radio station, on Monday morning. There you are.
Big time. Bing.
We made it, and they even have a quote from KMMS that he said to KMMS. We actually treat a hunting and fishing license with more regard in this state than we do our right to vote. You have to be in the state 6 months and prove that you've been in the state for 6 months before you can get a hunting or fishing license in Montana. You don't even have to have a photo ID. You can show up with a utility bill and you can vote. So there you are. So we made the big time. We're in the Almost Daily Chronicle.
The Almost Daily, so
yeah.
That's not quite viral.
That's not quite viral, but...
It's city viral. It's city viral.
That's right. All right. So, well, let's talk about the 5 things you need to know, Shane, because, Trump and the Dutch bank, the Deutsche Bank, I guess, to pronounce it correctly.
Bank, yeah.
To pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
The 2 largest banks in Germany, representing 80% of banking, Deutsche Bank and Commerzbank, announced a merger. Deutsche Bank, founded 1870, 149 years ago. Their net income is about 341 million, 1.3 billion operating income, 91,000 employees. Woohoo! Now you know what their problem is.
Yeah.
Commerzbank, interestingly enough, also February 26, 1870, 149 years ago, in Hamburg, Germany. Mm-hmm. Theodore Willy was their founder. Operating income, 1.2 billion. Net income, 865 million. These are euros, by the way, folks. Mm-hmm. And they have a similar problem with mega number of employees, 49,000. So first off is, of course, the controversial reality that they'd shut down because there's a bank on every corner, like I've talked about in Canada.
Yeah.
But the point about this is now what you call hidden valued trouble.
Yeah.
Both these banks have got major problems with none other than Russia. And they both have been involved in controversies, but not only involved in equity market trading in currencies and bonds and stocks, but also, moving money for the oligarchs in Russia. Now, if you can do that, rumor on the street in Europe with friends I know and I've talked to, they were charging like 10, 15, 20%.
Wow.
Like this big money, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about moving big money.
That is a lot of money,
yeah. Well, rubles aren't big. They're tiny.
There's high percentage. It's a high interest rate.
but they still convert them to U.S. dollars or euros. So, this is going to be quite interesting because the reason it'll be interesting is to see how much the German government requires the financials to be disclosed for the merger to go through.
Yeah.
There you go. Because both are public companies.
Yeah. Well, obviously the other problem closer to home, President Trump has a long history with the bank, and the bank didn't want it scrutinized after he was elected in 2016. So more than 20 current and former executives and board members told the New York Times that Trump really has been a top priority for the Deutsche Bank. Beginning in the late 1990s, they gave Trump loans despite knowing he overinflated his net worth and had defaulted on earlier loans. And in 2016, one managing director, Rosemary Verbelik, tried to get Trump a loan for his golf course in Turnberry, Scotland, but one executive opposed the deal because of Trump's divisive rhetoric. And she appealed, and top executive kind of kiboshed the deal because they were afraid the bank was considering lending him money during the campaign. So he's got
it's one of those things. Yes.
Well, there's been a lot with Trump, in his loans and his failure to pay contractors and all of that going on for a long time, and this just kind of adds a little fuel to that fire, I think.
Well, but a lot of that goes back to the casinos back in the 80s and 90s and what he went through, with his casino problem. And, that was one of those, what you call Chinese walls that people set up with a separate LLC or corporation to protect your assets. You set up different ones.
Yeah.
The point is that these are major banks in Europe, and with Brexit being in the situation it's in, and both these banks being buyers of U.S. debt on a weekly basis, there's cross references of the global economy that this has an effect on. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens with it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's two impressions here that people would take away from this. One, alone in 2016 wasn't back in the 1990s for a golf course, and while he's running for president. The other thing is, you just mentioned earlier, the ties with Russia, which kind of puts Trump in collusion with Russia through the Deutsche Bank. So
I don't think so. I don't. Come on, that's a stretch. That's the biggest rubber band I've seen, because it stretches from Bozeman to Vancouver.
Well, I think there are people that make that case, though, that Russia's in bed with them, Trump's in bed with them, and apparently Trump has worn out his welcome at American banks, so Deutsche is the next best place to go. So.
Well, yeah, but again, we talked about this, and in the last 10 years since he's been on the NBC with his show, and it's a brand period for cash flow, and all he generates is revenue every month from people that put his name on towers. He does other than the golf course and Mar-a-Lago and let's see, the two hotels downtown in New York City. A lot of them are managed properties that he doesn't really own them.
No, I know, but still, it adds to the suspicion of those on the left that his corruption is certainly suspect. You got to admit that. Come on.
I'm suspicious of Beto O'Rourke's name is Robert, and he writes really bad poetry. What like seriously?
Well, he does have bad poetry, that's for sure. So,
you read some of it? Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's pretty nasty. It's pretty nasty stuff. Yeah. You don't want to. Yeah. He's. Well, people think Trump is nuts. Read his poetry and read his stories, and
exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, GOP Devin Nunes, I guess.
Nunez.
Yeah. Republican of California suing Twitter for $250 million on Monday, alleging that the social media platform shadow banned conservatives, including himself, ahead of the 2018 midterms. And shadow banning is described as purposely making a user's content undiscoverable to anyone except the original poster without their knowledge. So Twitter had repeatedly denied ever shadow banning any user, but the suit filed in Virginia State Court also claims Twitter wanted to interfere with Nunez's work while he was still chair of the House Intelligence Committee and allowed users with names like at Devin Nunez mom to harass him. Nunez wants Twitter to reveal the identity of those users. So he might have a case there, I mean, there's.
I know, and here's a side deal.
Yeah.
So the Democrats are in bed with technology. They're getting all their money from Twitter and Google and Instagram and Facebook and blah, blah, Microsoft. So number one, Nunes is a Republican, and they lost the House, so they can't pursue any kind of legislations to restrict or control or even break up the monopolies of some of these companies. So I see this as a side issue to create the news because of the size of the, 250 million.
Right.
It goes into the news cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And, he'll use a political action PAC to pay for this. That's to pay the legal costs. And it'll keep it in the news cycle because the number one problem here is the First Amendment right, and these people are abusing it. Because you can't, under the guise of the First Amendment, Twitter can't cut people off from Can you imagine if the Washington Post did that or the New York Times?
Oh, yeah. Well, if you remember, the IRS was chastised for, when people wanted to start PACs or political action committees and whatever, and the IRS would say, no, you don't qualify for, this or that, and they finally had to get a slap on the hand.
They did it. They did it from 2010 until 2011. Through the second cycle of Obama, it was Obama's second run in 2012. Yeah. And then slowly after that, they started approving them after 2012, after the election. So
after they were beat up, they started approving them.
After he won the election, they slow-boated it. But
that's true, yeah.
They helped Trump in 2016. They got it. They got her done.
All right. All right, we got to take a quick break. You're on the KMMS Morning Soapbox. We come back, we got to talk about Bezos' girlfriend and the girlfriend's brother. So we'll be chatting about that when we come back right after this. 23 minutes after the hour of 7 a.m. It's Tuesday, March 19, 2019, 24 degrees outside. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor. Welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And Shane and Tom on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. And let's see, let's go to our text line 478-8298. Shane, how can you accuse Twitter of violating the First Amendment? They are a civilian enterprise and not subject to freedom of speech restrictions.
Well, I realize under the context as a corporation that they take the position that they can't restrict free, or they can restrict any kind of press. I mean, we've seen that with the horrific things that have happened. I'm just saying, as good corporate, entity, restricting people's right to their expressions, and is to me is not a very positive thing. I think it's just bad for their
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd agree. When we heard the thing with Google when they first the day after the election, they were all moaning, crying in their beer about what a terrible thing it was and whatever. And we've seen internal memos to where they have tried to stop some conservative messages or searches being down the way, or if people search for Trump, it was all negative, or whoever else was all positive. So, but there's so much negative written about Trump, it's hard to put anything positive up in a search.
But the conflict that you have is that under the your government, your major media are licensed. They're FAA. They're all licensed and regulated. Yeah. And none of the internet is. Yeah. And none of cable is. No. So you have a two-tier sort of system here. Mm-hmm. Half your media is regulated. Yep. And the other half isn't. Yeah. So that's my argument. If you're unregulated, show a little respect about that, and that they have you have the right to take down a terrible thing like the shooting massacre in New Zealand. You shouldn't let that go viral.
Sure. Yeah, that shouldn't be on. That shouldn't be on Facebook Live or be on anything. But I think you've got to agree that ABC, NBC in particular, and CBS are not fans of Trump or the Republican Party. That's right. Exactly, and they're regulated, so nobody's going in and say, "Hey, you got to be fair and balanced with, somebody else."
I see that. Yeah. No, I'm just saying, as a good corporate sponsor, you should sponsor because they represent that. Twitter represents free speech, corporately. We're all about free speech and.
Well, supposedly so does Facebook, and so does Instagram and everybody else. But they. Whoever sits down and decide what goes up and where, it's pretty hard for your personal ideology not to weigh into that and say, well, I don't know if that's right or not. So it's about Trump. So I'm going to put it somewhere else. And, we'll put Elizabeth Warren over here, and we'll put, Bernie Sanders here, and we'll put Jeb Bush over here. And, so That's kind of how it
And
goes.
this argument that they put out, we have to hire tens of thousands of people to monitor that's just, BS. They have an algorithm. The algorithm picks up on things that are out on their site.
Yep.
Instantly. And they probably have 20 people in a room going through these reviews of things that are coming up instantly and deciding instantly on or off.
Put them up.
It's an on or off button. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Speaking of on or off, let's put a caller on.
All right.
522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Calling on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hey, this is Aaron. How you guys doing?
Good, Aaron. How are you?
Good. I do some message boards on the internet.
Yeah.
Argue politics, right? Mm-hmm. And it's funny, back when Citizens United happened, and still to this day, leftists will sit there and complain about that, and you can't, they'll tell you can't give corporations human rights, this, that, and the other thing. But as soon as Jim Acosta, who works for CNN, he's an employee, he's a corporation at that point, and Twitter and all these other corporations, as soon as anybody brings up, hey man, you don't have free press rights, that's for people, or if you bring up, that these are campaign contributions, when you downgrade one candidate in particular throughout the whole campaign, they say, well, that's free speech. They have freedom of the press and free speech, right? And these are corporations, so you can't be against Citizens United and for Twitter doing what it's doing. Mm-hmm. And not unless you're just being hypocritical, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And
thanks for the call. The music's playing. All right. Thanks, Aaron. All right. Appreciate it. All right. From our text line, 478-8298. Is there anything about Trump that Shane doesn't like or finds corrupt or dishonest or liberal? I guess we'll have to talk about that when we come back, Shane. So
yeah, sure.
prepare all the things you don't like about Trump, whatever you find corrupt and dishonest or liberal. So we'll be back with more right after this. 23 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Tuesday, March 19, 2019, 23 degrees outside. And welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. Shane and Tom on the line with me in Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. And Tom Eaglehoff, your morning mayor in the house. Jeff Krauss will be in here at 8 o'clock. And, well, Shane, we had a text message. Is there anything about Trump that Shane doesn't like or finds corrupt or dishonest or liberal?
I'm not even sweating over this one.
All right, go for it.
All right. Okay, the liberal side of Trump. Prison reform bill. Like 60 years they've been working on this. It's the first step back. And Van Jones stepped over from CNN. Van Jones. Remember the election night 2016? This was a white lash, a white lash election. Yeah. And, at CPAC, he was sitting on the stage and said, you stole this was my idea. He stole this from me. Development of a free zone in inner cities, $100 billion, massive change in inner cities for
opportunity zones. Yeah. Yeah.
Voter rights support, he has and is supporting it. Global LGBT rights, he's supporting that. And then his conservative reasonings that I like, let's see. He's protecting trade, and the reason is he knows the demographics of China. And, in 30 years, China's population will drop to 400 to 500 million. So right now is the best time to grab hold of getting the right trade deal you want. Protect the unborn. We're big on that. Protect the border. Of course, that's important. And protect the Americans from the Democratic Party. Crazy Gate. Protect the American people from the Democratic Party. Urban decay. Fratricide. Education. The military. African minority preservation. And the Democrats' Jewish turncoat attitude. So, did that cover it all?
No. Okay. We still got corruption and dishonesty.
Oh, that's just those are just human qualities. I mean, people are corrupt about something, but I don't think that with everybody that's gone over him, banks, accountants, the government, the IRS, you know, if he'd done something major, he'd be buried. You know, he just would be.
Well, I don't know. He's done a lot that he hasn't got buried for. I would say inflating your income for Deutsche Bank would be dishonest a little bit. And corrupt, as far as corruption goes, back in the 70s, he and Dad redlined their apartants.
That's not proven. That's
it's pretty much proven.
If they started to do that, they backed off. They didn't go through with it.
Well, so, all right. From our text line, 478-8298, since we're all taxed and are required to be licensed and our private businesses, we're all regulated. I view it as dangerous to our liberty to cause individuals to be categorized as corporate or vice versa. The Constitution is meant to protect us from this big government big government has ended it. Twitter's not a government entity and not subject to the First Amendment. So there you are. You can either get on Twitter or not. Take your pick.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's take a phone call. We had a caller patiently waiting, Shane. So let's go to the phones. Go ahead, 522 Talk is the number. Caller, you are on the air. What's up?
Well, I think that the two things that the internet and corporations have in common is they're both created by government.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ban one party from your platform and not the other, is that considered a campaign to one and not the other? Campaign contribution?
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, I would think so. I would guess, anyway.
You know, and as far as the New Zealand video, they get videos of people getting murdered all over YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they want you to see this one?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, especially the ISIS ones of the beheadings, remember?
Right.
Or burned in cages or drowned or whatever. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Bad. Yeah.
Because it doesn't, you know, it just doesn't make any sense. And they're over there passing all kinds of gun laws. They don't even know how the hell he got the guns in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And
now they're going to make them worse or stronger, I should say, I guess.
Yeah, it's a bad deal, I think, and I don't know. There's, I mean, the social media has become something I don't know that anybody perceived except for the people who, you know, put it all together.
Yeah.
As far as the reach, the effect, you know, the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because if you're the creator, I guess you can make changes.
Yeah.
You know, and you and write the rules. I mean,
as long as there's carpet money out there, I don't think you're going to change corporations from being human beings or human entities anyway.
Right, but if you just put the shoe on the other foot,
yeah,
they would have all been shut down by the Democrats by now.
Well, you'd think so. You think so, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at New Zealand. Like, it's a country of 5 million people, and there's nearly 250,000 people licensed for firearms, and they own 1.5 million guns. So, like, you know, that's like America, like 5 guns a person, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
I think we're beyond 5 a person.
Yeah. Well,
no, but I'm just talking about New Zealand.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know, but the fact that they come out, they had gun laws waiting in the wings, it seems.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a lot of stuff on that whole deal that just I don't know, it don't add up to me.
Well, it's always easy to overreact. You know, somebody sets their underwear on fire, and you got to do a strip search at the airport, or somebody puts bombs in their shoes, and so you got to take your shoes off and your belt and, you know, your jacket and everything else. And so, you know, we're really good about closing the barn door on the empty barn.
Right.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Guys will blow up their underwear wearing them, but women have to take their bras off to burn them.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Maybe we should get some gal to put a bomb in her bra, or I don't know.
Well, there you are. Yeah.
At least to make a trip to the airport interesting.
Yeah. All right. I guess C4 would give new meaning to C cup, wouldn't it?
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh, there we go. Look at that.
All right, I gotta go, Pete.
Yep, take care, man.
All right, thanks a lot. We'll be right back. 11 minutes for the top of the hour. Jeff Krauss, City Commissioner, will join us at the top of the hour. Shane Taubman on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. And and your morning mayor, Tom Eaglehoff. And this is the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And, we're caught up on all of our text line stuff, Shane. So, let's continue on with our 5 things you need to know.
Okay, we got to talk about Bezos and his girlfriend's brother.
Yeah, got big bucks.
Mr. Pecker at the National Enquirer, he's a busy guy.
He is a busy guy. He keeps himself busy, yeah. Well, the text between Jeff Bezos and his girlfriend published in January were supplied to the National Enquirer by her brother, Michael Sanchez, who was paid $200,000 for the messages. And people familiar with the matter told the Wall Street Journal that the story about their affair was released the same day Bezos announced he was separating from his wife. So I guess she got the text as well.
Well, now, here's the big deal, though.
Yeah.
Now, we know how this game works, right?
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Pecker's big on shutting down stories because someone buys it from him.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering where he got the $200,000 to pay for this.
Well, he's a big deal in the Hollywood agency deal.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I would think $200,000 would be pretty easy to come up with if you're representing the right people.
I don't think it. I think it came from a conservative pact, is where it came from, because Bezos, as we all know, owns the Washington Post. Right?
Yes, he does. Yeah, and is being sued by the Sandman kid.
Young man. Yeah, exactly.
So
$250 million.
Yeah. Why
yeah.
not?
So I love this wraparound. There's so many parts of this story that could go on for us for a couple of weeks at least. On.
Yeah. Well, it may possibly happen that way, but. Anyway, the tabloids already have started investigating the relationship between Bezos and his sister, a former television reporter. So we'll see how.
Exactly.
I mean, the plot thickens and the scorecard gets bigger.
That's right.
As we go along. All right. Well, I apologize for the Noxitril last break. I didn't notice it in there. There will be another one during the Rush update, the end of the next hour, but. I am working hard to get those out of here between 6 and 9, so I will continue my quest to make 6 to 9 a Noxitril-free hour, or hours.
Oh, there you go.
So we'll see how that. I will plead my case once again to the powers that be, and we'll see if we can't maybe move those somewhere else and not be subjected to them here when we got kids on the way to school and stuff like that, and it's just not the. It's not the right time of day to have that discussion, I don't think. So, at any rate, I will be right back with more right after this. 3 minutes before the top of the hour, it is 24 degrees outside. It's Tuesday, March 19th, 2019. Shane Taubman on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia, and happy to have him here, of course. So we're glad that he joins us every day to keep it fair and balanced, huh?
Yeah, I like this big story is Putin and Russia has banned fake news, and
right.
He's passed legislation that if you're fined, you get a fine up to 1.5 million rubles. Whoa! The ruble is 65 to 1 to the U.S. dollar.
Yeah,
I mean,
so that's
this
28 cents.
$23,000. Yeah, $23,000 fine that you're going to get whacked with.
You think he got the okay from Trump to put that legislation through?
Well, it's just an expensive bullet because he's killed over 50 news people since he's taken over. I mean, it's a bad thing going on in Russia. But anyway, I think his days are numbered only because the economy's in deep trouble. So. We'll see.
Well, they are in pretty deep trouble now. He could do what Xi in China did, just make yourself emperor for life.
Well, he already has, basically.
Well, they still have elections, but he seems to have a high percentage of victories.
All right, and before we run out of time, because it starts this week, is March Madness. They say Baylor is overall #1 seed.
Yep.
I think Duke is going to take it all, but my two favorites are Gonzaga Bulldogs and Kentucky Cavaliers. So that's me. Gonzaga Bulldogs, Kentucky Cavaliers. What's your call?
I would go along with Duke. They're pretty tough. They got their guy back who his shoe fell apart. So if they can keep his shoes together, I think they're in pretty good shape. So take a pretty good upset. Virginia might be a squeaker in there. They could be an upset. Yeah. So they're in there as well. So, but Baylor is always competitive. Gonzaga is always competitive. So we'll see. For the first time, the ladies at UConn aren't the #1 seed.
Imagine.
I'm gonna say they won about 80 in a row, I think, or whatever. But I forget, but anyway, they were
transgender before transgender was even popular.
Well, I don't know about that.
I'm kidding. That was a joke. Don't anyone call in, please. Don't anybody complain.
It's just him trying to be whatever.
Viral. I'm trying to go viral.
Trying to go viral, huh? Well, I think we need. I don't know what we need to go viral, but I do know
something on the edge.
Yeah, right. But I do know that we have a poll. How many times have you moved? Go to KMMSAM.com and put your answer in there, and also AM 1450 KMMS on your smartphone. And we got a new messaging feature on our smartphone. You'll see the message button next to the call button. And check that out. And also, Kittabaloo. Don't forget, Kittabaloo's coming up on April 6th. I've got some tickets to give away to that. I got 2 tickets to Kittabaloo. And if you're interested in going to that on Saturday, April 6th, 10 to 3, taking the kids and having a great time, 522-TALK is the number. I'll take the 5th caller, 522-TALK. Back after this. 8:05 in the morning, Tuesday, March 19th, 2019, 24 degrees outside. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor. Shaman Taubman on the line in Vancouver, British Columbia, half man, half amazing. And in studio, of course, as he is every Tuesday, Jeffrey, what's your middle name?
Kent.
Jeffrey Kent?
Yeah.
Kent? Kent? Is that English from Kent?
Clark.
I don't know.
It's Clark Kent.
I see more of them now. Yeah. I see more of them now than I used to. But people would say, Ken? Yeah. You mean Ken?
Yeah.
No, I don't mean Ken.
It's Kent.
Yeah.
All right. Jeff Kent Krauss in the house.
That was it. Yeah.
Well, glad to see you, man. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, yeah. It's spring break, That's why it's easy to drive around town, right? I was
going to say, there's no traffic anywhere. You can park downtown. It's kind of nice.
It is, yeah. And we didn't have a meeting last night because people clear out,
that's true.
And that's been a thing for a long time. We've done that for a long time.
Yeah.
All 16 spring breaks I've been through when I've been on the commission.
Yeah.
So I had a free Monday. That was nice.
You get paid for that, whether you have a meeting or not, or
I get paid
no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. I get paid to vote no.
I was going to say that's all you do is vote no on everything. So,
well, one thing I voted no on, was this putting the Parks District in front of the voters in November.
Yeah,
and The county graciously said, "Well, you can go first with your justice building."
I was going to say,
last year,
you guys told the county, "Go ahead, we'll back off," and so we don't have them both on there at the same time.
And then the majority votes, and we even had Scott McFarland show up and say, "Hey, remember you were going to let us do our thing?"
Yeah, and
the rest of the commission said, "Well, it's our election, so it makes more sense that we're on there first." So it makes more sense that we go first every time. I think is what they were saying, but we were going to have more discussions. Well, you had a commissioner show up. Now, I will say, as a county resident who also happens to live in the city, that they should wait and see how the facility works after we move out.
Yeah.
That would be what I would say.
Would be a good
Sorry,
deal,
this hurry up and let's get this passed before we clear out the other building and have a whole bunch more room. And we, our 4th district court failed.
Yeah.
So the need for the fourth courtroom. There will be 3 courtrooms in that building. So shouldn't we wait and see how the facility works after the city leaves? I mean,
I was going to say,
and I'm not saying that to put the $115 million worth of maintenance and then over the life of the bond. I'm not checking that column. It's ridiculous. You want me to pay $15 a month, you better come up with a better reason than we've let the pool and the Bogart Pavilion slide so long, right? Growth did not cause the Bogart pool to be whatever it is, 70 or 80 years old. That was without getting replaced. That's just us not doing it.
And the Bogart Park, top of the pavilion, part of it caved.
Yeah, it did.
So,
I don't know if that's the part that burned or what. We'll find out when the engineering firm takes a look. But yeah, I think that the county has a legit complaint about.
Well, I think.
But I have a concern as a county resident that also happens to live in the city, which is, why are we hurrying up to do this before we find out how the facility works after the city leaves?
Yeah, because you got everybody wedged in there together. You got the cops in there. You got the sheriff in there.
City court,
county courts, all in there. And I would think that makes sense. I think the commission's shooting themselves in the foot because, we're already paying for a high school. We're going to pay for a safety center.
Yes.
When
those come on, that's going to hit your,
that's going to hit your taxes pretty good.
It is definitely going to be a piling on, and
then they want to add $200 a year onto your tax bill, another pizza a month, and plus the cost of Law and Justice Center.
That is an expensive pizza, Tom.
I know.
$200 a month. $200 for a pizza. $200 a year.
Yeah, and $16 a month.
Yeah, that definitely is
a pizza a month.
It is a pizza a month. A pretty expensive pizza too.
So if you vote for the $200, not only do you get park maintenance, but you lose weight.
Yeah, you can't eat for another month.
Well, that's true.
Another day anyway.
You can't have pizza for a year.
Yeah, the whole cup of coffee pizza thing. It is the incremental, and I mentioned it when I got interviewed about this serial bonding thing. Well, it's your turn, it's our turn, your turn, our turn. Then it's the school district's turn, and it's serial bonding, right? On and on and on and on and on, and to some extent, it is the county's turn. The county did pass another open space levy, so
then you got the city building, the safety building,
and the city building, and of course the school district came in with their high school bond. So that seems like a lot. And then let's not forget there was this huge inequity. I'm going to talk like a county treasurer because there used to be one, treasurer assessor. There was this huge inequity between the new part of town and the old part of town, where the Department of Revenue had depreciated the old part of town. And so in the 90s and the 2000s, the buildings, in particular the residences in the old part of town, had a depreciated value. So there would be buildings that were selling for $300,000, homes, and now they're $500,000, many of them, that were on the rolls at $35,000 or $50,000. And then if you built a new place, it was fairly valued. It was close. It was 70%, let's say.
Yeah.
And so there was this huge inequity. And so in the old part of town, what's happened is...
Would that be the east part?
Well, that's all down here where we are, the Bonton district, the area between Maine and the university in particular was hugely undervalued. And so the cost of any new tax was small, disproportionately small on those owners compared to new properties. And in the last two reappraisals, those have bounced. Those are now, so everybody is now paying on a fair... close to a fair market value. Not really. It's probably 80% of your fair market value, somewhere around there in general, on average. But so everybody's paying. So they saw in the old part of town not only the increase due to the demand for the old part of the Bonton district is hugely in demand. That's where everyone wants to live.
Right.
A lot of people talk affordable housing. What they want is a $140,000 bungalow on Cooper Park.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's what's happening is so suddenly they had the appreciation and the old appreciation capture happen in the last 2 reappraisal cycles, and so they're finally paying the full boat, just like the newer part of town is, and on their appraisal. And that has so we got a lot of yelling from the people that used to vote for every tax increase because they paid a disproportionately small share. Now going, hey, wait a minute, and I don't think that's going to change as demand for the old part of town increases. It's not going to change. It'll spread to the north side. It'll cross 7th. The older parts of town are hugely in demand. The no DUI zone, the walkable zone,
right?
The university district, whatever you want to call some of those areas. Bonton district is what I call it mostly. They're going to continue to appreciate, and they're going to bear a brunt of these taxes. And all those taxes increased over the years, and we didn't build a new swimming pool with those. We chose not to. That was a deliberate choice. We did other things with the money. And, that's why I voted for almost against every single budget, is because we didn't pay attention to our maintenance costs and our capital costs. Instead, we added stuff most of the time and, and gave raises and things like that. So, increased the size of the bureaucracy, gave raises, added new programs and new departments. That's what we did with the money that came in from the. Now we did have a vote on. We had a vote on a cops fund, and as long as we're spending that money, those mills on the cops, I think that's legit. You know. When they started arguing for this parks maintenance district levy, my first thought was, why don't we have a cops levy? I mean, isn't that more important? Aren't we all more about public safety than we are about a silver-plated? Because we didn't do gold-plated, we did silver-plated. A silver-plated parks maintenance plan. Wouldn't it be better to have a silver-plated policing justice system, or a fire department, right? One of those. They would all like to carve their own little kingdom out. Why does Parks and Rec get to carve its own kingdom out? Yeah. You might ask that before November comes along.
From our text line, 478-8298, did someone call and say they built for 250 pounds per square foot? No wonder roofs are collapsing because around here it should be more like 450. And that was earlier we were talking about. Somebody called and said Big Sky had at one time had a roof load of 250, but they rebuilt everything down there. So, but yeah, I would think I thought 250 was a little light, but.
I'm not a construction engineer.
That's me standing on your roof.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it's gotta be more than
my
that.
son got up and shoveled the roof on his house, and I mean the ice dams and snow load for this time of year is pretty unprecedented. And as it melts, of course.
Then there's the ice and heavy.
And heavy, really heavy, yeah. And so I would say, having an unprecedented weather event, which we call winter here, but, other places call bomb cyclones. Yeah.
It was 27 inches versus 5 is what we usually get in February. So we got 27 inches. We got to take a quick break.
Yeah, well, it made the Washington Post, so, nothing's real unless they report on it.
All of our, temperatures and everything set records across the country, so, yeah. All right, we got to take a quick break and no Noxatril, so we'll be right back. 22 minutes after the hour. It's Tuesday, March 19, 2019, 24 degrees outside. Shane Tobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. Just kind of monitoring the discussion here between Jeff Krauss and Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor, and ex-mayor. Former mayor, I guess, sounds better than ex-mayor.
I like ex-mayor.
Do you? Let me turn you on.
I like ex-mayor because it sounds like X-Men, you know?
Oh, well.
Right, superhero type.
Well, here he is. The X-Man, ex-mayor. The ex-mayor is here.
Ex-mayor.
Yeah.
Super mayor.
I better draw a superhero with a
M on it.
Yeah, mayor, and I don't know. You'd have to have a gavel, like Thor.
And a leotard. Wait till you see me in a leotard. Actually, I'm in a leotard now. You just don't know it.
You're sitting next to the righteous Eagleman, the mayor with the titanium knees. Be careful.
Right. Well, I found out they're not imported knees; they're made in Memphis.
Made in Memphis.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
So I'm not original equipment anymore.
Hey, do they put grease zerks in there so you just put the gun in and pump a little?
That's what I pull up to
Easy
Shell.
Lube.
Easy Lube, and they pump me up.
And you're good for another couple weeks.
Yeah, they do a good job for me, so it's pretty good. So. Yeah.
I think he's jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep mine until as long as I can.
He's seen me move around, There
you go.
Oh my gosh! Well, we were talking about the city and the county working together.
Oh yeah,
kind of.
It seems like we jumped the line. I mean, it really does. Or elbowed our way in, or said, "Hey, we want 2 bites of the apple," or however you want to frame it.
Yeah,
that's not the real. I mean, that's one of the reasons I voted no. But the big reason is because what are you talking about? It's a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
And it's only the silver plan, not the gold plan. Well, I'm sorry, but. Some of it we're gonna be much cheaper than volunteers doing the work is not true either.
Well,
and
that's hard to make a case for.
Yeah, I know it is, but they didn't even count the time that volunteers spent or any of the stuff that we did.
Well, the thing that gets me, and I've watched this for years and years. I mean, it started all the way back with Kirchhoff and Marcia Youngman and Joe Frost and all those guys when they were in there. And they started with, if you're going to do a subdivision, we got to have a place for the rugrats to go. We got to have, I don't know what the percentage is of the development has to be.
It's defined in state law, and it's 0.03 of an acre per dwelling unit.
Okay, so whatever. But we have, when you look at a map of Bozeman, particularly the property maps, you see a cluster of parks here because there's subdivisions, they're right next to each other. And then over here, you got no parks, from older parts of the city and whatever.
So there's so in the 80s, we didn't ask for parkland. So there is stuff that was built in the late 70s and early 80s. We didn't ask for parkland. So there aren't parks, but, other than that, there are parks. The whole part of town has plenty of parks.
Oh, yeah, it does. Well, I think they put some in just because, it was a community thing to do.
And some of them were given to us.
That's true, yeah.
Beale Park is a good example.
Yeah.
And then, I think it's this maintenance plan. So remember, it's not so much, if there's a choice to maintain what you have, and people forget that because it gets all wound up in politics. But you think about what's going on at the state level, okay? At the state level, over the last 3 legislators, suddenly they found this thing called maintenance, right?
Right. Yeah.
Infrastructure. And so they've all cut their heads off, and they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off saying, oh, we've got to spend money on infrastructure. Well, you have to spend money on infrastructure every 2 years. Every year you have to do it, right?
Sure.
People drive on the roads. People drive across the bridges. Students go into the buildings. People swim in the swimming pools. You turn on the taps. You flush the toilet. You must spend every year some amount of money.
Yeah.
It's just like your house.
There's some place that needs to be updated.
Anyone will tell you you have to set some amount of money aside on your house, unless it's super brand new, that you put into your house or your apartment, or if you're a landlord, into your rentals. You must do that every year. If you don't do that, it's a problem. It becomes a problem.
It's going to deteriorate.
Okay. Stop, because I got to get this in. I now it's a setup, so this is going to be good.
There you go.
All right, you ready there for Mr. Krauss?
I'm ready.
So, we've spent several years talking about the prices of real estate and the cost of building a house and all these add-ons, and it's just blown everything up in the city as far as a average place for people to live to. So my feeling is that the responsibility of all of this falls on to the city council and the councilmen, because originally this was all set up for property taxes to pay for all the infrastructure. So when the city comes along and abandons, capitulates, renounces, succumbs to, concedes to give away the responsibility to care for its own city, and pile all that cost on the developers in new parts of the city, the streets, the curbing, the water, the sewage, the lighting, the electrical, everything. Well, of course the price of everything's going to go up. The price of property is going to go up. The price of the housing is going to go up. Not to mention, the fact is they're trying to get as less cost as they can, just for the, building the house itself. So they reduce the square foot per cost, the square foot cost per cost, because of all these additional costs onto it. So really, folks listening, you can thank your city council for squaring off and creating this whole inflationary cost of property and building.
All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll have Jeff answer that.
I'll answer that. That's not maintenance. That's new stuff.
When he comes back. So we'll talk about that.
You got to take care of the new stuff and the old stuff.
All right, we'll talk about it when we come back. So Jeff Krauss is in the house, current city commissioner, 3-time mayor of Bozeman. Shane Bataman on the line with me in Vancouver, British Columbia. And also me, Tom Eaglehoff, your morning mayor. We'll be right back. 23 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Tuesday, March 19, 2019. Jeff Krauss is in the house. Current city commissioner and 3-time mayor of Bozeman. I got to get it all straight. And region of the unit. Region. I'm not turning you up when I turn me up.
Yeah. So the answer, Shane's exactly right. The cost of and there's a speed component. In new construction, there's a speed component because new construction needs all that stuff right now.
Yeah.
Whereas property taxes
they start building,
come in at a small percentage every year. So the speed, if we were growing at 1% a year, the property tax increment can pretty much stay along with the new construction, right? Because it trails along behind, but you can grow in the old way when you're growing very slowly. When you're growing very fast, the infrastructure's got to be there now, and the new construction has to pay for speedy growth.
But that's the whole point. In a city your size and in a location your size, you want it to grow slowly. Because it's like supply and demand. Like, we've talked about this, Tom.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
In North Dakota, in North Dakota, what happened there with the oil boom. So, when the city council looks at this and realizes it's a real estate boom, you want to slow it down so it doesn't accelerate so fast, because it's like a giant inflation rush.
Well, right? They tried to do that with impact fees, 99% impact fees or 90% impact fees. They thought would slow it down, and it didn't.
Well, here's the thing:
from that standpoint, till the recession.
Either way, whether you're loading the cost of growth onto growth or you're restricting growth, the price of housing is going to go up if the demand stays high.
Yeah.
Right?
As long as people want to live there.
You can constrict supply and the price will go up. Or you can facilitate supply but say it has to pay for itself and the price goes up. Either way, the price goes up.
Yeah.
If there's demand.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying, of course it goes up. But what I'm saying is if you if you manage the growth, meaning not allow it to accelerate so fast. Yes, you allow it to grow, and you allow licensing, and you allow building. But, guys that are developers and builders, they, like you said, they want to move fast. I'm in this. So I got to move on. I want to get it done.
Well, and so they got to make their money. But how do you restrict growth?
To be clear, did you want me to put a limit like 0.02% a year or 0.2% a year, like they did in Boulder? Median price of a home in Boulder is over $1 million. Yeah.
I appreciate that. So you look at the number of licenses you issue on a long-term basis for guys to develop, and then raise the price of the licensing. Like why not? If you want to charge somebody or create cash for the if you want to generate income. I mean, there's all kinds of ways of generating income that is also good for the benefit of everybody in the community. So I'm just saying.
But you're going to pass that on to the homeowner, though.
Yeah, any of that gets passed on to the homeowner, and that
raises. It would slow it down, but you're paying.
Nothing is slowing it down right now.
Yeah. Well, you're paying a premium though to live there.
That's right, but what you're passing on to the homeowner is money the city's gotten, and if the city can maintain its responsibility of maintenance and developing properties, then that's where I'm saying that there's less add-on. The idea is to come up with ways of creating less add-on to the property that you're forcing the developer to build his houses.
Yeah, I haven't found the answer to that. I don't think there is an answer. If people are coming here, and I'll give you a good statistic for that. So before the recession, let's say when Lee and Andrew and I were the commissioners, we annexed, and in that period, say 04 to 07, we annexed hundreds and hundreds of acres. 1 year, 800 acres, I think, or over that period, 800 acres. Essentially a half acre for every person we added. Now that it doesn't correlate, right? But that's what it was.
Average.
Yeah, and after the recession, in the last 10 years, we've done 600ths of an acre for every person we've added. 600ths of an acre. So you look at that, and there's no wonder that prices have gone up with that demand versus what we've added. So everybody complains about the speed of growth. We've been building on the stuff we annexed pre-recession. We have not annexed enough ground to keep up. We have 1,000 units in the pipeline, but if we were keeping up with demand, we'd have 3,000 units in the pipeline. The thing is, the banks won't loan on 3,000 units. The builders don't loan on 3,000 units. So we don't have the workforce to do 3,000 units. So the price is going to go up around here.
Okay. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. 13 minutes for the top of the hour. Jeff Krauss is in the house. Shaman Taubman on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor. Don't know why I don't do that.
Yeah,
why I'm such a hard time with you?
Yeah, I don't know. Today, you're just not turning me up.
We have guests every day except one. You'd think I'd get the hang of it. Sorry about that.
That's all right. It is an interesting discussion about.
Well, one of the things I wanted to ask you.
Growth is speed.
Yeah.
It's all about speed.
Yeah. One of the things I want to ask you about is that once the homeowner moves in there, they are responsible for the sidewalk in front of their home and things like that. So there's a cost for that, right? It's a whatever it is, a DVI or a ABC or something.
You're supposed to shovel your sidewalk.
Yeah. But I mean,
and repair it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
All the way to the curb.
Yeah. So if you have that responsibility, that's got to be plugged into your property taxes, right?
No. The only time it's plugged into your property taxes is if you don't do it. So if you don't do it, and we don't this is not a service to the property owner.
Okay.
If you don't do it, somebody complains, we'll notify you that you got to do it.
Okay.
And if you don't do it, we'll send a contractor, a very expensive contractor
to do it, and we'll bill you for it. Yeah.
And then we bill you for it. And if you don't pay it, at the end of the year, we tell the county about it, and they put it on your property taxes.
Okay.
And then your mortgage company picks it up and pays
something like that. Something like that with with the parkland, some kind of fee that's just
that's
in
what they're arguing about.
$200,
right now, part of it is, it's unfair. Some homeowners associations have to pay it.
Yeah.
Look, for 20 years, I took care of Westfield Park, and I can tell you, us and the homeowners association, I can tell you that we did a lot cheaper than the city did.
Mm-hmm.
So, the city had to mow the grass.
Yeah.
We did just about everything else.
All right. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the air with Jeff Krauss, Shane, and myself. What's up?
Good morning, gentlemen. I used to own an engineering firm, and we worked on several municipal projects for them as specialty consultants. My question is, I'm probably just asking this ignorantly, but it seems that there seems to be a lack of cohesiveness of purpose in everything I'm hearing. How does everything fit into your long-term master plan for urban development? Because, we were brought in on many feasibility studies, and I think the results of those studies drove a lot of these decisions that you're talking about. So looking at your long-term 10 to 20-year plan for your urban development in the Bozeman area, that should provide a rough framework for a lot of these decisions that seem that the city council is struggling with. And I just want to know, how do they address, and you can refine that master plan, but it just seems to be all over the map to me from what I'm hearing. And like I said, I'm asking this ignorantly. I assume you do have a master plan in place, and it's reviewed periodically, but I'd just like to hear your response to that, if I could, Jeff.
Okay.
Sure.
Thanks for the call.
Sure. We have a growth policy. That I guess that's probably what you mean by the master plan, the growth policy. And we also have sort of a service boundary, how far we can extend services out. Some of the issue, I would say, is that we don't that part of the trap is everything for everybody, right? So if your master plan is we're going to do everything for everybody, which is the strategic plan that the commission adopted, you never say no. People ask me all the time, well, what's your annexation policy? And I would say, well, if you're next to the city, you're contiguous with the city, and you ask, we will annex you in as long as you're in our service area, right? Yeah. So if you're 140 acres, you're right across the street from the new high school, you're in our service boundary, and we have planned to go out there, we will say yes.
But in the case of Riverside...
Well, Riverside is one. They've asked.
Have they not?
They have asked. They're technically they are contiguous in the sense that they're next to the wastewater treatment plant.
Right.
And so we would they're asking, but they haven't asked formally yet. They have to have a protest-free ask, and that means they got to get a certain number of signatures.
Okay, so they got to get. Do they have to improve roads, curbs, sewer, water?
Well, those are all things that will have to be. Well, the whole point of it is to improve join to our sewer system. So,
but the cost of that per homeowner is probably prohibitive, is it not?
No, the cost of doing it themselves is the cost of their homes.
Yeah.
So if they want to get by cheaper, they're going to hook up to the wastewater treatment plant. But if they want to do it themselves, essentially. I think realtors would tell you it's difficult to sell a home out in Riverside right now because the cost of the fix of their wastewater facility is equal to the cost of their home, or within $100,000 of it.
All right.
To answer the guy's question one more
Real quick, because I got to take a break.
Essentially we fit into everything we annex fits into the growth policy, and the issue really is just speed of development, and then to tie it back to Shane, it's all about the cost of the housing, and if we were going to try to do something about that, we would grow much faster.
Okay, we got to take a quick break. Rush Update is up next, and Noxatril, like it or not, is there. So we'll be right back right after this. All right, we got about a minute and a half left. Mr. Krauss?
I mentioned when we talked about, I was mentioned when we were talking about affordable housing, having a conversation starter where they say you got to have 6,500 new homes. whether or not we want to grow that fast, and whether or not that should be commuters and Belgrade and Manhattan, who've grown at 80, whose prices have gone up 80% and 102%, whether commuters can solve our problem, and whether maybe we constrain growth in the city for a while and share that largesse with other entities like Belgrade, Manhattan, and Three Forks for a while. So we should have that conversation, and the unincorporated areas.
Yeah.
We should have that conversation as a city. We've never done it. It's left us open to this. You're growing too fast. We need to have that conversation. I'd love to have it.
All right. From our text line, as we get older and property taxes keep improving or increasing and our ability to continue to make money decreases, so does our ability to maintain our property. Say goodbye, Shane.
Be happy, be safe, Mayor. Thank you, Jim.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. All right, that does it for us. We're out of here.